tucked away in a corner, surrounded by a wall of words.
In this little prison that's made up of all these books.
Tim Yude taps out a sweet song, a beautiful beat, mechanical music.
It's my first time hearing a typewriter in real life.
I think it's beautiful. I love that noise.
Some of the typewriters really are rat-a-tat-tat, and some of them are thud-thud, and this one, it's somewhere right in the middle. I mean, it's pleasant.
The rhythmic pecking might steal your ear's attention, but it's the sea of ink flooding the page that he wants to be heard.
It's important to recognize that, banned books stands for something.
Letter for letter.
He's a lot faster with a couple of fingers than I am with 10 fingers.
Word for word.
I guarantee you I make mistakes.
Yude is retyping the most fitting example of literary censorship.
For Banned Books Week, the Vonnegut Library has invited me here to retype Ray Bradbury's Fahrenheit 451 on Ray Bradbury's actual desk that he used at the time that he was writing that great novel. He wrote also that novel, the first draft of the novel, on a Royal KMM typewriter like this one.
For a 6-day span.
Today is Thursday? Today's Thursday. I lose track.
Yude's fingers danced across the keys.
I retyped the novel all on one page.
Rest coming only in brief stretches or in the dark of the night.
I will be ready to sleep in my own bed in 3 nights, I can tell you that.
He's a presence and making a statement that is an ongoing statement that language is not dangerous, and ideas, we should not be afraid of them.
Where the Wild Things Are, or Harry Potter, or The Great Gatsby. I mean, these are books that are very accessible. The idea that we could live in a world where we're limited or denied access to books is a frightening thought, and it's not an unreal thought.
With his blotted canvas taking shape, the tattered sheets are ready for their final chapter.
I'm almost going to be sad to burn it because I like the way it's looking.
Okay, all right.
It's too late for me to back out now. I've got one paragraph to type, and it's going to be quite a little ceremony here.
I turn these proceedings over to Tim Yude.
Whether we're readers or non-readers, it's a civil right. It's something that's super important that we protect our ability to access literature in a free way.
A basic civil right that sparked this masterpiece.
30 hours up in smoke.
With photojournalist Sean Pierce.
But for a good reason, and I'm happy I did it.
Jeff Wagner, 24 Hour News 8.
We all have an idea of how coaches are supposed to sound, right?
A little closer, a little closer. We need to make sure we're dialed in.
Well, not always.
Is there a way I can help you or no?
Not at Guerin High School, at least.
It's probably the hardest part about playing a quarterback.
The Golden Eagles have a former star quarterback on their sidelines this year. Thomas Hahn is in the IHSAA record books. He earned a spot for his passing success during one of his seasons at Lafayette Central Catholic.
When you put up some numbers, some colleges kind of take notice.
Purdue noticed. He was an invited walk-on for the Boilermakers. He didn't stay, though. He transferred to Notre Dame. But not for football.
Don't bear false witness. Don't lie. Don't steal. Honor your father and mother. He points to the 10 Commandments as the basics.
He is now Father Thomas Hahn.
And I realized football was consuming my life. I knew that my physical abilities had limits. I was able to have a wisdom to know that, and realized maybe I need to look at big picture and make sure I've got the rest of my life figured out. We trust in my own abilities.
After 2 years as a parish priest, Hahn is the new chaplain at Guerin High School. He offers spiritual guidance to the school students and staff, and for the first time, he's a teacher.
I tell you, the two answers that are always right is Jesus and pray.
Now they can have a little fun because head coach Tom Dilley invited Father Hahn out here.
I do think the guys are a bit surprised when they see a priest zip a spiral across the field, and they kind of perk up a bit.
Since he's in his own team colors, they can also have some serious sideline discussions.
Foundational human happiness, then we can figure out why we should act the way we should act.
He remembers selfish players from his days on the field.
If a good play happens, I don't want a guy celebrating alone.
He wants these guys to think of the team and not just themselves.
You, Lord God of all creation.
Humility and the other virtues are not just for when the students are in the chapel.
This idea of being a thriving human being, living for holiness, living your faith is not mutually exclusive from athletic success.
And he says the fundamentals of his work here now as a priest are not so different from what he used to do as a quarterback.
A priest is pulling the potential out of each and every human soul and getting them to their goal of heaven. If I can be of assistance in guiding these young men and young women towards what God's got planned for them, let God use me in any way he wants to.
This is a chance meeting of two strangers whose families share the same sad story.
I'm sorry for you too, because it ain't easy.
A 30-second embrace between Alan Sparlin, he's on the right, who lost his son Sunday to a suspected heroin overdose, and Eric Whiteman on the left, whose brother Brett died nearly a week ago.
I've been doing this for 3 days. Cry a little bit, and then I'm okay for a couple minutes.
Me too. The families don't know each other, but they know each other's struggle, and now they know the grief.
Early 30s, he had a family, wife, kids. He was a great uncle, great brother, cared about everybody way more than himself.
I know what you're going through. It was daily. You couldn't get rest because you're worried to death about it. I said, you can't keep doing this stuff.
Chad Sparlin's family says he was found unresponsive at his job Sunday at Haynes International. 2 days before that, Brett Whiteman was found at this Super 8 motel. They are 2 of the 3 suspected heroin overdose deaths in Kokomo in the past week.
Putting your head in the sand is not going to make it better. That's why I want to get this out there. Kokomo has a problem. America has a problem.
Before the fog had lifted in Kokomo, Alan, his wife, and daughter spent the morning looking for burial plots as Eric prepared for his brother's funeral.
I grieved a lot before, and I had to act like he wasn't still here. That was the only way I could sleep at night.
Susie Stroop has co-founded a Facebook group called the Kokomo Help Team. It launched Saturday and already has 1,300 followers, acting as a resource to get addicts help because she says treatment centers in Indiana are too few, the wait times too long.
All that takes time, too much time, and people are dying in the meantime.
Howard County Judge Bill Mingus recently created an opiate overdose task force made up of law enforcement, education, and treatment professionals. They've had one meeting. No decisions, just discussions.
Hopefully, we're going to come up with a plan that we can better attack substance abuse.
These families don't have the answers either, just memories of reaching out to loved ones they couldn't help.
I sit every night and talk to them on the porch. We'll never know.
All right, here we go. In the middle of all the hustle and bustle of downtown,
Been long, and the road's been wide.
you can hear it. On his guitar, Jeremiah Quinn tells the tale of hope and freedom.
I've seen a lot of interesting things out here.
But he can also tell you what happened here last Saturday night.
It was wild, man. I don't know. I've never seen anything like it.
What he witnessed was a group of teens fighting in the streets with no adult supervision in sight.
But there was probably like 100 kids, like, just going nuts out here.
We have been asked to come back.
10 Point, known for calming tensions, will walk these streets.
That'd probably be a good idea.
They will also be checking social media to keep tabs on if something is brewing.
We got to look at social media because sometimes they signal what they may be doing. So we will be paying attention to social media to make sure that we don't have groups coming down to fight.
Harrison will take this charge this weekend, but he will ask parents to do most of the leading.
It's really not the job of the mall and IMPD and 10 Point and other community groups to babysit your children.
Go on.
So Jeremiah here,
singing the words of my song.
and others can enjoy the sounds of our city.
Let's ride!
O God, come to my assistance.
For centuries.
O Lord, make haste to help.
Actually, they estimate about 1,500 years Benedictine brothers have lived by certain traditions.
Glory to the Father and the Son.
And they know how this looks outside.
Spirit.
A lot of times people think of monks in monasteries as belonging to the past. It's this ancient tradition that has kind of stayed in the past.
Their motto is pray and work. Here at St. Meinrad Archabbey in southern Indiana, they pray 5 times a day.
To seek but Christ and Christ alone.
In here, the mind is naturally inclined to ancient spiritual truths.
Find faith and courage to repent.
But in here, they're not just looking up, they're looking out to those who live beyond their monastery, and they've become increasingly creative.
So have you checked the latest stats?
Yeah, it's over 15,000 now.
Oh, you're kidding.
Yeah.
Brother John Mark Falkenhayn and Brother William Sprower made it their work to invite others to prayer.
#InnerMonk.
Yeah, so we have a Twitter account for the Inner Monk.
But that's only because they were inspired to create this. Honor your inner monk.
By nature of our baptism, we're called to both a life of service in the church, but also a life of developing a very close one-on-one, what we would call a contemplative life with God in the church.
That contemplative life is our Inner Monk. Their app provides a morning prayer, an evening prayer, and some extras.
I don't know if you would go so far as to call it a sleeper hit.
The brothers said they aimed the app at teens and young adults. Then they found the teens' parents are downloading and finding comfort from their inner monks.
Our relationship with God helps us to navigate those challenges and make sense of them and draw support from that relationship with God.
I will speak of your will.
Blending theology and technology links the St. Meinrad monks to their Benedictine past.
Monasteries, in the Middle Ages were these cultural hubs of, there's artwork, literature, scribes writing things. I think we enter into that tradition when we create something like this.
And the Holy Spirit.
Now that doesn't mean he uses the app. Brother William and Brother John Mark don't carry phones here.
Here at the monastery, I don't have much of a need to carry it around.
Your prayer habits are pretty good already.
Yeah, I don't need to use the app since we get plenty of time for prayer.
But for those whose lives have more distractions, sometimes because of their phones, the brothers hope, they pray, that the app provides some of the peace that they find here.
As always before, so now and evermore.